Hello everyone, this is Kyra, and as you can tell from the title, I'll be discussing the 2014 comic book Super Secret Crisis War. It's a crossover story bringing together the heroes and villains from Dexter's Laboratory, Powerpuff Girls, Samurai Jack, Ben 10, and Ed, Edd n Eddy. The moment I heard about this comic, I was in love and instantly got it, even picking up their one-shot series and Super Smash Up sequel when the two of them were released. All in all, this comic book series is a joy to read, and if you haven't gotten your hands on it yet, you absolutely need to. I've always been a fan of crossovers, and Cartoon Network's crossovers have been among my favorites, from Fusion Fall to the CN City Bumpers to Heroes United to Summer Resort and many more. I'm warning you guys now that there will be spoilers for the comic because I'm going to talk about it, the entire plot. So you've been warned. You can continue at your own discretion, and I don't want to see no complaints about, oh, you spoiled this reveal for me. I warned you, okay? It's already happened. So this comic starts with Aku, Vilgax, Mandark, and Mojo, who have formed an evil legion known as the League of Extraordinary Villains, which is a reference to League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Which has its own comic book series and a movie, and I love the movie. It is quick to see that Aku holds the title of leader of the team, and this makes sense because he started the group, and he only gives Vilgax any sort of respect. The other two, Mandark and Mojo, he kind of pushes off. I mean, he respects Mandark in a sense because he gives him the title of apprentice, but all three of them treat Mojo like he's worse than dirt, which is kind of sad because he's one of the most recognizable villains, and as a Fusion Fall player, he is one of the guides, so he's kind of up there. But as far as Aku, Vilgax, and Mandark are concerned, he's worse. But their goal is to capture their world's respective heroes. Simple enough. Typical villain stuff. Each villain sends down robots to battle the heroes, and they're not like Aku doesn't send Aku's robots down to Jack. He sends Vilgax's, and each one sends a different robot. And of course the heroes fight them and they win, and they are picked up and put into the teleportation tubes, which is really an excellent trap considering that you send something, the hero is obviously going to fight it, so yeah, that's the best trigger for them. The only group of heroes that were unaccounted for were the Ed Boys. By accident, the dynamo was sent, and the Eds, through sheer luck and cartoon physics, beat the robot and were brought to the trap. So, of course, the villains, they go about and boast, like, oh, haha, we captured you. And then they left them. Like, all four of them left with some robots to guard the heroes. And while they're alone, the heroes take an instant liking to each other. They introduce themselves. They compliment each other. And this is refreshing since a lot of crossovers for comic books will typically have the heroes fighting. And I know we have that wonderful movie, Batman vs. Superman, which I won't beat a dead horse. It's just not the best. So it's refreshing to see that, they don't go off and fight and then be like, oh, wait, you're actually a good guy? Oh, I'm sorry. It's probably, though, a result of them being trapped. Like, they all saw each other get trapped by the villains who obviously said, yeah, we trapped you. And so, they got that going for them, that they don't need to have that conflict because it's already taken away. They know who the bad guy actually is and all of that. But it's, it's nice to see them taking an instant liking to each other, with only Dexter being the odd man out. And this isn't because he's bitter against everyone. It's just that he's trying to prove he's really intelligent and that, he's the boy genius and he can handle the situation, but he keeps getting one-upped by the Powerpuffs and Jack and later Ben, but that one was on accident, really. Despite this, though, Dexter doesn't hold anything against them. He's just annoyed that he's not being treated with the respect he feels he deserves, which is actually a fun for me because, this is 2014 and Fusion Fall just ended, and I'm used to that Dexter, and this Dexter is from the show, and you see how childish she is compared to the more mature teenage version of Dexter in the game. So, it's a lot of fun. Well, obviously the heroes escape, and they find out instantly that they're up in space, but no one knows where. Even Ben, who has traveled the universe, I'm guessing, because based on what he says, he's never seen these stars. So they're somewhere. They then later discover that the satellite that they're on is a robot factory, and that they are making evil robot duplicates of the heroes, minus the Eds, who obviously they did not account for. They already set up the design for them, and the Eds just showed up. So before they can actually shut down the factory, they are separated into 4 teams: Ben and Blossom, Jack and Bubbles, Dexter and Buttercup, and the Eds. And it's at this point that Blossom is starting to fall out of her admiration for Ben. At the start, we see her and her sisters complimenting Ben, like, oh, he's such a great warrior, and he looks so cool. And it's at this point that slowly Blossom is like, you're starting to annoy me. Like, you need to stop. And it makes a lot of sense that, she's used to being the team leader, and she's used to working with her team, and Ben is being reckless. His behavior is sort of like Buttercup, but Buttercup usually tones it back pretty quick. Ben, throughout it, keeps doing what he does, and it just annoys Blossom further because it works out for him in the end, but it just bugs her that this is going on. Also annoyed is Buttercup that she has to be stuck with Dexter, who she had already started having issues with at the start. Like when Dexter called Bubbles woman because he was upset that she was telling him what to do, Buttercup was like, hey, she's not a woman, she has a name, her name is Bubbles. And Buttercup laments that she was stuck with Dexter instead of Jack, who she obviously thinks is way cooler than Dexter. And they honestly butt heads the most. Like, Blossom and Ben have their issues, but they don't necessarily, like, insult each other. Ben just shrugs his shoulders like, no, I'm gonna do this, and Blossom's like, but Dexter and Buttercup, like, have their little butting heads. They're annoyed with each other. They'll insult each other. So it's a lot of fun, especially when you, again, think of Fusion Fall, and you've got Buttercup like, hey, Dexter's in trouble, go help him. It's like just a great night and day between the two of them, where as kids they butt heads, and as they're older they're like, yeah, you're cool. The only ones who don't butt heads, at least with the group outside of the Eds, is Jack and Bubbles, who are actually really cool with each other. Like, they end up together and they're like, hey, I'm going to protect you. And they say to each other, because Jack sees Bubbles as a little kid and he's got the wiring to protect her. And Bubbles is a superhero, so she's like, no, I'll protect you. It's really cool. They don't have any conflict with each other, like, at all. And even when they're done, so when they're separated, everyone goes their separate ways, and Bubbles and Jack go to, like, the computer area. And after they have their fight with the robots there, Bubbles is super happy and cheers like, hey, we kept each other safe. And it's just a cute moment, because after this just big intense fight, she's like, yay, we did it. We stuck to our values, or our vows. And Jack is just all happy like, yeah, we totally did. So a while later, the team does meet up back together, with the exception of the Eds. They're still wandering around. So they meet up and they start fighting the robot doubles, which was Aku's plan all along. As he explains to a panicked Mandark, who only moments earlier sounded the red alarm, it was always part of the plan. The heroes were obviously going to escape, and they were obviously going to defeat the robot doubles. This was expected and was not the actual plan. It was a distraction, honestly. So after they defeat a lot of the robots, Aku steps in and reveals their actual plan to the heroes, because why not? Aku has to boast about everything. The satellite everyone is aboard is called Robo World, and it's hidden away from all realities. It's in its own little pocket dimension. The weapon that they have planned is known as the Death Stare, and it's, just look at it. It's a great nod to like the 70s and 80s. Like, this belongs in Super Friends, honestly. It really does. Aku explains that it's to be used to destroy a planet, and they use it on a random planet to show that, hey, we're not kidding, this actually works. We're going to use it. And at this point, he gives the heroes two options. You either give up and place the minds in the robots, because they knew from the start robots were never going to work. It's just robots. They want the actual essence of the people inside the robots, or watch your world get destroyed. So very obviously, the heroes say no to both choices and make up their own, which is to fight. And I have to point out how beautiful the art or the background colors are as it goes from yellow to red as the group comes up with their answer. It's just a great, you go from like a yellow to an orange to about a red and then a dark red. And I just love it. It's really cool. So while this is going on, Mojo, who's with the Eds because he had captured them, comes to the realization that Aku and Vilgax will destroy his world because the Powerpuff Girls world was on the scale, and Mojo doesn't want this. He wants to rule the world, as we saw back in the movie. He doesn't want it destroyed. That defeats the purpose of ruling it. So he helps the Eds out, who had been manipulating him. Like Eddie told Ed, hey, go along with this plan. I'm going to trick him into helping us out. So he, defects, and he sides with the Eds and the heroes only because Aku and them are going to destroy his world. So while the heroes are battling the robots and Aku and Vilgax, because they decide to get in on this, Aku sends Mandark off to take them out of their little dimension and to go prepare the weapon for destruction of one of the planets, because obviously Aku and Vilgax are not going to take this line down. Oh, you want to fight us? Okay, well, we're going to go destroy a planet. So the heroes decide after a while that they need to think of something else because their hack and slash isn't working. The robots keep coming back, and they need some time to come up with a better plan, which you can't do in the heat of battle. So Ben gets them some distance between the villains and the heroes, and it's at this point Mojo shows up. The Eds vouch for him, like, no, Mojo's on our side now, and they come up with a plan. And they don't tell you outright what the plan is. They just say, okay, we're coming up with a plan, and then a moment later, all right, everyone got it? Good, go. So the heroes are going to stall the robots long enough for Mojo and the Eds to enact the plan. So they go off to fight Mandark, and Mandark captures them. Like, Mojo attempted to trick him, but it didn't work out. He gets captured, and Mandark continues to start up the Death Stare. However, he is horrified to find that the first planet that's going to be destroyed is his. And much like Mojo, Mandark doesn't want his world destroyed. I don't think he wants to rule it. I don't think that's in his, I don't remember if he does or not, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to rule it. He just wants to show off that he's the greatest intellectual mind ever, and you can't really prove that if the world is destroyed. So he goes to try and stop it, but one of Aku's robots stops him and explains that this was all just a test. Aku wanted to test you to see if you were really evil, because obviously if Mandark went along and said, oh, okay, yeah, blow up my planet, then Aku would be like, oh yeah, you're totally evil, we're good. But he fails. Mandark wanted to stop it, so, he failed. And because of that, now the planet is going to actually be destroyed, which upsets Mandark, obviously. At the same time, the heroes discover that they're floating around Dexter's Earth, but they're not going to let this happen. They're not going to let Vilgax and Aku win, so they fight back even harder. And the Eds free Mojo from his prison, and with Ed's help, the actual Ed, not like the Eds, but like actual Ed, him and Ed push the lever down, which causes the satellite to overheat, which is a problem because the energy source they're using is very tricky and it's very sensitive. So they overloaded it, which is going to cause a chain reaction and destroy the satellite that they're on. This is obviously what the heroes wanted. Aside from stopping the Death Star, they wanted to destroy it, which was a plan from the start. When they were going over the options, they were very willing to die. They were like, no, we will die before we let you destroy our planet. So the heroes retreat and are given this opportunity to retreat when Vilgax and Aku turn on each other, because they have obviously heard the countdown for the destruction, and they went off and started attacking each other. So the heroes are like, bye. They get to the teleportation tubes, and everyone's in their respective spots, with Mandark now teaming up with Dexter and Mojo setting all of the coordination up. Once he hits it, he hops in with Bubbles, they all disappear, and Robo World and the Death Star is destroyed. So then the heroes return home to varying fanfare. I wouldn't say there's actual fanfare because no one knew. But Dee Dee greets Dexter and Mandark and is pleased to see the both of them and comments on the fireworks. And Mandark and Dexter get into an argument on who saved who, because Mandark's like, oh yeah, we saved you. And Dexter's like, what do you mean we saved you? It's not how that worked. You didn't save me. I saved you. Like, let's talk about this. Ben is instantly greeted by an alien to fight. Like, he literally drops in. He's like, oh, I'm going to really miss all those guys. And then, boom, alien. He goes, yep, back to work. The Eds return back to the junkyard, and Eddie laments that they didn't get to keep Mojo, and he wanted to have the monkey around to sell as a freak show type of thing. Double D and Ed are just like, no, that's not right. Jack goes back to his future, and he's in line to get some food, but a villager halts him and asks for help, and Jack instantly goes and helps out. And then the last one is you've got the girls and Mojo showing up in front of the house, and the girls say goodbye to Mojo, who is upset that they have complimented him and like, oh, you're a superhero now, you saved the whole entire universe. And Mojo's just like, I am not a hero, I am leaving. This is blasphemy and lies and slander, and I'm out. And the girls are greeted by the professor, and they eagerly tell him about their adventure that they had. And he's not worried, because why would he be worried? They're super powered and could totally fend off the evil all they want. And the comic ends with Vilgax and Aku crammed in Aku's escape shuttle, complaining and blaming the other for the failure of their plan. And that was Super Secret Crisis War. I already said at the beginning that I love this series, and I'm really serious about it. This comic is a lot of fun to read, and it actually made me like Omniverse's Ben. When I first saw the cover and saw that they were using the new Ben, I was hesitant, because I'd fallen out of the Ben 10 fandom right around the end of Alien Force. Ultimate Alien was not in my interest, and when I saw Omniverse, I was just, great. They brought it back. They haven't let it die. I was kind of hoping they were going to use Alien Force Ben over Omniverse, but this comic actually changed my mind about Omniverse's Ben. It was actually, he was a lot of fun. They balanced out his teenage ego with his heroic bravery. Like, he was still egotistical to a sense, but he was also very I wouldn't say compassionate. He was also acknowledging other people's strength. Like, he complimented Ben complimented Jack, and he also reminded Jack that the girls could handle themselves. Like, he acknowledged that the Powerpuff Girls were incredibly powerful. And that was pretty cool, considering Ultimate Alien had him be very egotistical. Like, really bad. So this comic actually made me change my mind about Omniverse in general. I don't know if I'm going to give it a shot and watch it, but it definitely made me not as upset with it as I used to be. And also, I enjoyed seeing everyone interact with each other. It's what I live for when it comes to crossovers. Not a lot of the characters got to interact with each other. Like, the Eds were basically with Mojo. After that, they were gone. They were with Mojo. They were helping stop the whole plan behind the scenes. They weren't really interacting with the heroes as much as they were in the beginning. But other than that, it was a lot of fun to see the heroes' interactions play off out on the pages. Sorry, I already discussed Jack's interactions over on my inside look video, so I won't rehash it here. I know you guys don't want to hear it twice. I just talked about Ben and Blossom's interactions, where Blossom was impressed with him at first, but then it slowly was like, really, Ben, can you not just follow a plan? Why are you being so reckless? But other than that, they were really cool with each other. They helped each other out still. It's just, she was getting annoyed with, like, could you not? I also talked about Buttercup and Dexter's. It would have been fun to see more of that, because they provided a lot of, I guess, the drama. Like, I'll admit the drama was missing, but I didn't mind it being gone, because it wasn't needed. This was a lighthearted tale of good versus evil. We didn't need any drama of, like, all of them hating each other. Dexter and Buttercup having to butt heads, that's the closest we got. And I'm fine with that. Really, the drama came from the villain side, where Aku only showed Vilgax the respect, but not a lot of respect, just a little bit. He showed very, very small amount of respect to Mandark. Really, he just treated him like an apprentice. And like I mentioned, Mojo got no respect from, like, any of them. To the point that Bubbles was like, "Aw, poor Mojo." And Buttercup's like, "Don't you dare feel sorry for him. Don't forget who brought us into this mess. Do not." But it was a lot of fun, seeing all the characters interact. I will admit, though, I would have liked to have seen more. I would have liked to have seen the Eds stick around and talk with them more. Maybe, I don't know, talk to the girls about, hey, why don't you guys come back and be, like, a tour? Like, we'll show off your powers or something for money. I'm sure Buttercup would have been like, no, we are not doing that. And it would have been nice to see Blossom interact with more people outside of Ben, because she was heavily, aside from her sister, she was mostly interacting with Ben. We didn't get her to see her interact with Jack or Dexter, and that would have been fun, because I'm sure Blossom and Dexter would have butted heads, because she's very smart, and it would have been great to see the two of them just butt heads with each other, like, no, we're going to do this plan, no, we're doing this plan. But honestly, the lack of that many interactions doesn't damage the series in general. They had 6 issues, they had to focus more on the plot and the characters, and you know what? The interactions we got were amazing. This is just me overanalyzing it, was like, oh, but you could have done this, this, and this with the characters, but that's what fan fiction's for. That's where you can expand on it more. I am going to be ending this video. This is all I wanted to talk about. I wanted to just show you what the comic was, not in full detail, just like a plot overlook of it. I want you guys to actually go and read it and enjoy it for yourself. So I am going to end this recommending that you all go get it. And if you're a big fan of crossovers, you will enjoy it. Like, it's going to be a great buy. So until next time, guys, this has been Kyra. See you later.